Okay, so today we're going to go over how to install a subwoofer box and a subs and amp on a 2019 Dodge Ram 1500. All right, let's get started. Okay, so this is the box that came in. It's from Scar Audio. It's a specific subwoofer enclosure. We'll go ahead and open this up and dive into it. Okay, this is what it's going to look like underneath the back seat of the truck. I really like it. It is very well made. I'll flip it over to show you the other side, but this is the orientation it'll have sitting in the truck. Okay, this is the working side of it. As you see, it's cut out for 210s. It already has the cords ran. The cables ran for it, which is gonna be super easy. And then this one is also ported too, so that means that it's gonna be able to get a ton of air into the subs, which is just gonna hit way harder. And this is also down facing too, so that means the subs will be shooting into the floor instead of up into the seat. I've always had them up into the seat, so we'll see the difference there, but it'll be cool regardless. So we'll get to the next step. Okay, so this is what we're gonna take the two 10-inch Comp R subs out of. This is an old sub box that I built for my 2012 F-150. I'll take the top off so you can see how it's built, but this one did a pretty good job. Is ported on the side, as you can see, and then one on the inside for that. But we'll go ahead and open this up and take those subs out and put them in the new one. Okay, so this is the sub box that I built, or put together, I should say. I just took 2 of the 10-inch housings for the subs, and then I have a 1 frayed Rockford Fosgate capacitor, and then I have a 600 or it's 1200, I can't remember, on the amp, but it's plenty for this setup. I have the kicker fuse right there, and yeah, that's the setup, and then the top just gets stuck on. Okay, so this is how we're gonna take this piece out. This is what we need to put into the new one. There's gonna be little Allen keys all the way across this. You're just gonna take those out, and then this ring will come off, and then it should allow everything to pop out. Okay, so I took out all screws, holding it in, and then you just pry it out. These are actually heavier than you think they are. As you turn it to the side, these are gonna be the plugs that you're gonna take out right there. And then the whole thing pops out. Okay, so these are the subs that are going in. These are 4 ohm subs. I'm not gonna really get into the technicals of this. Not just because I don't really know it that well. I know it just enough to make it work. So these are 4 ohm subs. This is a 600 mono amp, and we're just gonna run these subs in parallel. That means we're just gonna pop them in. We're just gonna put negative to negative, positive to positive. And then from here, we're gonna take both the negatives, run it to 1 negative spot in the amp, and both the positives, and run it to 1 positive spot in the amp. That's how we're gonna wire it up. So I'll go ahead and get these wires on here, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so this is how we're gonna wire this up. We're just gonna take these little connectors, see if I could get that to focus. There you go. And they're gonna plug into here. So all you're gonna have to do is you're just gonna have to take one of the ends. I already cut this one, so you're just gonna strip it, pull it out. You're gonna put it in this, and you're gonna clamp it. It's gonna look like these when you're done. Okay, so this is what the subs look like in there. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a drill bit, drill out each of these holes, and then we're gonna run the screws in so it gets held in place. And then we're gonna move it into a truck. Okay, so the sub slid perfectly underneath the back. There's about 2 inches sticking out. But overall, I think it looks amazing. And then we'll jump into how to wire it up. Okay, so we have the sub box in the car. That's what it looks like. Your 2 ports are gonna be back there. And then the down facing of the speakers are gonna be right down there. It's just gonna vent in from this side. And that's where all your air will be able to come through. Okay, so we need to start disassembling the inside of the vehicle. to get the power cable ran to the back of the front seat. Now we're gonna start going through the disassembly process. Okay, so we need to get our power cable ran through the grommet that is gonna be right up there in the back left. You'll feel it, it's squishy. So we need to take out these pieces and this piece right here, because that's where it's gonna run under. And then it's gonna go all the way to the back right here somewhere. It's probably gonna come out that port and then attach into the sub. That's not the sub we're using, that's the factory sub. And then we'll go into splicing into that as well. So to remove these plastic trims, it's very simple. You're just gonna go find a point to lift at, and then you're just gonna lift it up, and it's gonna pop on out, just like that. Is have these little tabs at the back, and then they all come back out. So this is what it looks like with all those things out. And then we'll get into running the wire now. So here's our power cable. This is I believe a 4 gauge. Yep, 4 AMG from Rockford Fosgate. And there is going to be this little rubber, this little rubber piece right here, right where the main wiring harness comes out from the truck. It's gonna pop a hole in that. Make sure you don't get your wires, and then you're just gonna run the new wire through. You get your screwdriver through, you're gonna keep it there. You're gonna take some string. I have the flashlight down there so you can see. And right up in here, there's a screwdriver, as you can see it. And now you're gonna take your piece of tape with the string right here, and you're actually gonna wrap it around the screwdriver, so that way you could pull the screwdriver back out and the string will follow it. All right, we have the string ran through. We're just gonna grab the end now, and then we are going to tape it onto this side so we could pull it through. All right. Okay, so this is how I ran the wire the most discreetly as possible. Positive terminals on this side, so I just took it behind the battery box, and then there's the output right there, and then I put this little factory looking wire cover on it, and then put it right up there so you can't really even tell. To get this battery box off, or pried forward, I just took these 4 out and then just pried it forward, ran a hanger through to pull it through. Okay, so we are at the battery area of the cord. Now, within 6 inches, you're gonna wanna put a fuse. This is a 100 amp fuse. This is going there because if this gets overheated, you want this fuse to pop, so this line doesn't catch on fire and then burn down the whole car. Now, there is one that's further back by the subs. You do not need that one, but it's there, so I just decided not to remove it. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this and then put this on and then mount it up. Okay, as you see, I got the wire cut and spliced, both ends. Now we're just gonna go ahead and put that into here, if it focuses, and then you're just gonna turn this Allen head down, which clamps it down. You can do that to both sides, but make sure you don't forget to put your caps on first. Okay, and that is the finished product. That's what it's gonna look like. Move on to the next step. Okay, so you're just gonna run the wire down through here, and then you're gonna have to get this little piece lifted up. So there's some tape putting it together on the sides right here, and at the end, you just cut that, and then you just clip this, pop the clips, and then it comes up like that. Now we're gonna lay our power wire in there, and then we're gonna come out this exit right here. So that's what it's gonna look like when it's all ran in there. Okay, this is the exit. On this side, I just ran it through. I'm gonna make a cut right here so it doesn't pinch this wire. And then I just snake it through here. And then it's gonna plug into the amp down here. So I just, when the floor mat's down and the seat's back, you won't even be able to see it. Okay, so we have our amp here. This is gonna be the porch right here. Be able to see it. You got your 12 volt, your ground, it's like a blue wire. It just tells it when the car is on. And then these are your speaker wires. Those wires are gonna tie into the back of here. Okay, so this is gonna be your first step. I'm kind of just putting everything together outside of its location so you could easily see how it wires up. So the wire is gonna go from the battery down inside, comes out here. It's gonna go to this fuse block. It's a 100 amp fuse, I believe. Then it's gonna go to this one frayed capacitor from Rockford Fosgate. This is gonna make sure that no matter how hard you're thumping, it won't run out of power. And then you're gonna double this off right there and then put that into the power portion of your sub. All right, now it looks like a bit of a mess, but it's pretty simple. So now you have your black wire that comes off the negative terminal on the capacitor. We just gotta find a seat bolt to put that to, so I'll just let that hang. Then we have the other one. This is spray painted black, but we still know it's ground. That's gonna go into there, and that's gonna go to the same bolt, same seat bolt for the ground for the amp. So the wiring on that is all done. So now we're gonna jump into under here. That wiring harness down there needs to be spliced into, so our kicker LOC integrator will fit. That's for turns it into RCA ports, so we could plug it into our amp. So we're gonna go ahead and splice into that now. Okay, I'm gonna try to show this as clearly as possible. This connector is the back connector, the last one. Pull that out. These are my splices. On this side, I did one to solid green and then green with white stripe. On this side, I did one white, tan and gray, and then gray and orange on this side. Now I'm gonna take my LOC and I'm going to tap into it. Okay, so this is the LOC wired up right there. So the directions are going to be on the back of which wires to follow. But basically, I did the white to solid green, white and black to green with stripe. And then I did solid gray to green with stripe, and then gray and black to gray with orange stripe. That's all tied in. That should be the left speaker, right speaker. And then now we're going to put this negative terminal onto our sub on the back. And then we're gonna put this blue wire onto the remote on our sub. And that's all done. Alrighty, so everything is wired up. I have everything extra long. I haven't trimmed anything up. I'm just trying to make sure it gets all working first before I tuck everything, make a bracket for that, and cut these wires to length. But first things first, we went over how to wire up the LOC. The blue and black, which is the one that goes to the amp to tell it to turn on, and the black, which is now, I turned into a red, which is a ground, just because I ran out of black wire. That's going to the amp as well. I had to make them longer because they were too short. So that's done. And then we ran in the power to our fuse. We ran it to the capacitor, out of the capacitor to the amp. And then we have our ground from the capacitor, and it's wired, wrapped around into that ground bolt. And then we have the ground from the amp, and that's also wired into that ground bolt. Okay, so that's everything power-wise for this setup. Now, the last thing we have to do is run RCAs and then the speaker wire. Okay, so now that we have everything pretty much navigated, we're gonna get our RCA cables and we're gonna plug it into the input, the black and the red. The left side is gonna be an output, which we're not gonna need. And then it goes to our LOC, and then that's gonna have the black and the red as well. Okay, so we have the speaker wires ran under the floor, and then I have them popped out here. This is all gonna come through one little spot down there. I'm gonna cut a little access port for it, and then I'm gonna trim these wires down so that there's not all this ratness. And then plugged in the RCAs, plugged in the speaker wires. It's gonna go bank 1, which is gonna be your positive, negative, then bank 2, positive, negative. Then you have your ground right there, your positive right there, and then your power on right there. Once that's set, you're ready to go. And then we will jump to the finished product when I make the box to house all of this. All right, so a little update on how the cleanup process is coming out. So we switched up to an LC2i. When I turned it on, I was having some reverb, so I had to upgrade it to control the strength. Then we have our 600 watt mono amp, 1 frayed capacitor from Rockford Fosgate. And then we're still using the same connectors back there, as you could see. It's gonna wire into this portion. And then we have a power wire ran to here. Then we have our output to the amp. And then we have our ground to the amp. Then we have our speaker wires. And then we have the ground to the chassis, the ground to the amp. The power to the capacitor. And then there's power to the capacitor. So that's it so far. And then I will post the next stage. All right, that's gonna wrap up the install video. I hope I made it clear enough for you guys. I'm sorry if I mixed up a couple words, but hopefully you got the picture. If you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to message me. I'll answer them as soon as I possibly can. I stopped this video here. The next video I'm gonna come out with is how to make a proper enclosure for all the electronics. And that will be out soon. So enjoy this video. I hope you get it all wired up, and then stick around for the next one.